It's not a useful subject in cybersecurity, but we will try to do our best to make some interest. So I'm Yann Allain, and the talk today is about building a quantum computer at home with hacker style. So the content for today is why bother with quantum computing in InfoSec. After that, you will try to explain how a quantum computer works, how to build a quantum computer, and of course, how to hack into a quantum computer. About my company, it's called D1T2 it stands for next generation of quantum computer. It's a startup. It's a quantum company, of course. We build the hardware and we put the hardware online in the cloud. About me, I'm a cybersec trainer speaker. I did some training in Black Hat, Hacking the Box, TEDx, etc., etc. I'm mostly a maker and an entrepreneur. I have 25 years of experience in InfoSec. I'm an old guy with gray hair. And my past activities are related to software and hardware securities. So, why bother with quantum computing as an InfoSec guy? This is the one slide answer. The time to factor a cipher key, a RSA key, with a classical computer, with the best classical algorithm, you need 10 to the power of 34 steps. It's a big number of steps. And it will take more or less 300 trillion of years to find the key. It is why we say that RSA key is a good algorithm for cryptography, because it's very difficult to find the key. With a quantum computer and a specific algorithm, that's called the Shor algorithm, it only takes 10 to the power of 7 steps, and it takes 10 seconds. So it's why it's important to bother with quantum computing. Maybe you can think it's another hyped statement. No. Shor algorithms is really able to break RSA, but yes, you're right, because we need a very large quantum computer to be able to break RSA. Some study have shows that we need some 4,000 ideal qubits to be able to break RSA. But for in the InfoSec cybersecurity, there's many advantages on the corner with quantum technology. We can make really true random number generator, so it could be very useful for cryptography. We can use some techniques called blind quantum computation, and blind quantum computation is the way to find a solution to cloud insecurity, because it's an ultimate solution to make privacy protected by quantum mechanics and not a mathematical algorithm. We can also build a quantum internet, which has the main advantage with a quantum internet. When you send some data over a quantum channel, you know if someone is eavesdropping you, because quantum mechanics help you to do that. And of course, we have a new massive processing power, because quantum computing is mainly a new massive processing power. There is other use cases, but it's not in the InfoSec industry. So, how computer works? This is the one slide of quantum mechanics course. Who is aware about quantum mechanics? Who is a quantum mechanics specialist? Raise your hand. It's okay. I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm an electronic guy, mostly. So in one slide, our traditional or conventional computer use bits, which could have the 0 and 1 states. A quantum computer use qubits, quantum bits, we could, and these qubits have a fancy feature because they follow one principle of quantum mechanics. They could be in the superposition of states of 1 and 0 at the same time. It's not a good definition from a quantum physics point of view, but you may understand that this quantum computer manipulate more than 1 and 0 states. They manipulate the states with 1 and 0 at the same time. So you have a new avenue to make some powerful calculation, because you can use this superposition to manipulate in one clock cycle all the possibility, all the data stored in a quantum register. And in contrary, with a conventional computer, if you have a bunch of buffer, you need to calculate one by one in sequential way. With a quantum computer, you take the register with all the value in one clock. You have made the computation of all possible data. So it's more powerful. But we need a hardware. And I want mine. This is my goal. I want to build my own quantum computer and my own qubits on my own. So this talk is morely my journey about how I try to build a quantum computer. And as you saw in the slide, there is some failure, some success. And this is my journey. So first, I need to choose a technology to build my qubits. If you want to build a quantum computer, you need to have a support that is behave like quantum mechanically behave. So I need to find an atomic scale behavior. I have few budget, so I need to find a way to do an easy way to create my qubits from a do-it-yourself point of view. I want to manipulate in an easy manner for me the quantum states. I like to have a quantum computer that works at room temperature. It's easiest for me, and I want to have qubits with stable features. There is many candidates candidate technology to build a quantum computer. There is some. I choose this one, the trap ions. So I need to trap an ions. An ion is an atom which is electrically charged, and I trap this atom in a trap. Why I think a trap ion technology is better to do a quantum computer? First of all, it's a personal view. So don't offense if you have chosen another great technology to build your own quantum computer. I choose the trapped ion because the main reason I'm able to build it. Trapped ions use affordable and widespread technology, and they offer good qubit quality when you choose the right atoms. This is some figure why trapped ions quantum computer, I think it's a better technology than other. It's just a comparison with one other great technology used by IBM, Google, etc., and a Spanish company, I think. Trapped ions doesn't work. Have a good gate fidelity because when we do some computation with quantum computer, we need to use gates. We use quantum gates, and the quantum gate with ions is quite good. So we will try to explain how to make a quantum computer from ions, and I have a short video, and let's try to see if it's work.
Electrically charged atoms make for
It works.
Electrically charged atoms make for excellent qubits. This kind of research has paved the way for a quantum computer prototype. Like an ordinary bit, a qubit can be a 1 or a 0. A qubit differs from a bit because it can also be in combinations of these two states. An ion qubit is made from two of its energy levels. Ions of the same type are identical, so adding more qubits is simple. You just need to add more ions to the system. This is a major plus because a quantum computer will need lots and lots of qubits. Qubits must be configured in certain quantum states in order to perform quantum tasks. In an ion trap, tailored laser pulses can change the energy of an ion, setting it into qubit state 1, 0, or a combination of the two. The qubit's surrounding environment sometimes sneaks in and destroys the qubit state, a covert act that can ruin a computation. But some ion energy levels are naturally isolated, and scientists have come up with clever ways of adding in extra layers of protection. Quantum computer calculations are made from steps called logic gates. This will often involve more than one qubit, which means the qubits should be connected in some way. In an ion trap, neighboring ion qubits are connected through their collective motion. This happens because of their electrical repulsion. Laser pulses target the motion, enabling gates between any pair of qubits. To get the result of a calculation, scientists need to tell whether a qubit is in state 1 or 0. Shining laser pulses onto the ions makes only one of the two qubit levels fluoresce. So the result, light or no light, gives information about the calculation. Because many qubits are needed, quantum devices must be designed to be scalable. Researchers can only cram so many ions next to each other in a single ion trap before they get too unruly. But with modules, each containing tens or hundreds of ions, they can start to wire up a large-scale quantum computer. Light from individual ion modules can be collected, allowing ion qubits from separate modules to communicate using photons rather than their motion. So far, scientists have wired up 2 such modules, and they are getting ready to deploy larger devices using several more.
So, congratulations. You are now all expert in quantum computing ion trap as me. And I would like to thank GQE to have put this video on YouTube because it saved my life doing tons and tons of slides. And I think it's better explained than with me. So, you are now all specialists, all experts in quantum computing with ion trap, but it could seem complicated. It's not conventional to do calculation with atoms at all. And it's not so complicated. If I make a sort of a summary, you only need to have some ions. You need to trap these ions in a trap. We will see how it works. You put all this stuff in a vacuum chamber because we need to isolate our atom from atmosphere, from other atoms. And we shine some laser or radio frequency pulse to the atom to make some calculation. Of course, we need some low-level software to send the pulse correctly. And we have a camera because to be able to extract the information supports from the ion. So we will dive into my journey of building this quantum processor. Just be aware, there is a sticker with a risk of electric shock, and this is real with this technology because we use high-level voltages. So don't do at home, or don't ask me why you are dead. So how to create an ion trap? The goal we have is to block our ions, our atom, in a specific position. An ion trap is mainly a bunch of electrodes which has specific DD or 3D geometries. We need to send medium to high power AC voltage to the electrode with moderate to high frequency. It's necessary because of trap theory that physicists have made in 1950, nearly, I think. And the goal is to contain the ions, which is the support of our qubits, in a specific location at a space location. And you will see that the ion will float in the air alone. How to achieve that at small budget company? Is it possible? Perhaps it's not possible. I think it's possible. So I'm doing this. So let's go. This is our ion trap design course. I use my ultra high military grad labs. No, I haven't yet. I use only all my technology in my garage. So I use 3D printers, low-cost CNC machine, PCB milling techniques, open source designer software such as KiCad for the electronic, FreeCAD for the mechanic, and FlatCam for the CNC. Of course, we need some high voltage transformer, some electronic, classical electronic, and isolated gloves for safety reasons. And we use eBay as the main procurement utility. So first try, I need to make an ion trap and use a technique made by Paul. This is a physicist, and it's called a Paul trap. So I'm looking for on internet if someone have already done an ion trap with 3D printing parts. Yes, there is. The CERN have a project for that. So I download the 3D parts from the CERN project, and I send my high voltage power. I need to build something like that. It's a high power supply with 2 electrodes, and there is one ring electrode where we will contain the macro particle. So this is the 3D printing view. I use conductive ink. I put conductive ink on the plastic parts. This is my laptop with, at the bottom left, you have the high voltage parts. And this is the ion trap. And I have, of course, a camera. If I zoom in, I send the high voltage here, and the electrode is look like this. It's the ring and another electrode just above. And you know what? It works. I'm succeeding to trap some macro particle. It cost me $100. But the problem I have is the ring electrode. It's complicated with this type of geometry to shine a laser on the macro particle. So I need to find another way to make my ion trap. There is another technique called a linear Paul trap. So this time the CERN project haven't made the 3D print part for me, so I need to make my own homemade. I continue to use the conductive ink to be able to send electricity to the electrodes, and of course some high voltage power supply. It works like this. There is 4 rods, and the technique is to confine all ion in a sort of chain of ions. So I need to make some rods, support for the rods, electrode. It's look like this. The final ion trap is like this one, and of course you need to link this rod to some high voltage current, high voltage power supply, and the ions will be blocked in this area. No. And it works. This is my first quantum register, and we have 8 macro particles that is nearly aligned, and this is like a register in a conventional computer. So, great? No? I feel great. But remember, there is some failure in my journey, and I need to put this ion trap in a vacuum chamber. A vacuum chamber, what it is, and why we need a vacuum chamber, because A vacuum chamber is that. It's not, it's a big, cylinder of stainless, it's metal. It's very heavy. And why we need a vacuum chamber? Because we need to isolate, our particle from other particle. We need to avoid collision between atoms. Why we need to avoid collision? Because if there is a collision between atoms, the quantum states collapse. And we need a quantum state to do a quantum computer. So, if there is a particle that collide with another particle, the processing is over. So we need to put this ion trap in a vacuum chamber. However, I'm not a physicist, so I learn. 3D printing parts are not compatible with ultra-high vacuum environments. So I'm failed, and I'm doomed at this moment. But as I'm a maker, I know that this job is very, very hard. Make things is hard. Breaking things as a penetration tester is easy part. Making things is relatively more difficult. So I need to find some compliance with ultra high vacuum environment material to build my ion trap. So I go to the NASA website. Because NASA send electronic to space. Space is nearly a big vacuum chamber. There is nothing in space. So they have made a list of material which are compatible with a vacuum chamber, vacuum environment. So I find a bunch of material. I need to use gold, ceramic for the support, and Kapton cable for the wiring. This is my new ingredients to make a quantum ion trap processor. Maker is really a hard job because now I need to transform my 3D printer linear ion trap to something compatible with UHV environment. Look, I need to find a new idea at this moment. So, just read the manual. There is a lot of literature on quantum computer hardware. This is my bibliography. And you can see that I'm in sort of superposition of making something because I have a lot of quantum mechanic books. And I use this one. This is a retro computing books from 1980s. So I made a new computer when I read old stuff. There is a lot of research paper, free paper. If you want to build your own quantum computer, just read the book on Google. The manual is online. I found this one. Some guys have a solution, in fact, to transfer my 4-rod ion trap to a single layer of ion trap. So this is the 4-rod view in the face. The circle is the last 4-rod you've seen, and this is the solution. You can put all these electrodes aligned on a surface. So it's cool because I need to transform this to that. And I'm a little screwed because, oh boy, I need to make my own chip. Now, you must know that the price for a complete chip factory is $200 million. I call Intel. They don't want to sell me one. But in any case, it's a bit out of my budget scope, at least. So let's think 5 minutes. We need to find a solution. In fact, it takes me 2 months to find a solution and test it to be able to create my own chip. My plan was to think first. I remember an ion trap, which is the core component of the quantum computer I built. It's just a bunch of electrodes. Chip ceramic carrier have gold surface plates built in the chip. And they have connector to send electric voltage to the die. An electrode is like a simple PCB, a track. It's just a simple track. And we could create a track and wire using PCB milling techniques. This is some useful technique when you do some electronic at home. So I need to test my ID. So I use my CNC, Chinese one, $300. It worked like a charm. And I use a cheap carrier. I buy this one and a bunch of them on eBay to a Norwegian guy, I think. I made on KeyCard, the electronic designer software, this type of design. So there is some electrodes, and I use my CNC to make the electrode. So what you see here, it's just I CNC gold with my tools. So I need to grab all the gold particles after to send to my bank. So it's easy. It's not so easy, but it's cool. It's quite cool to be able to do this at home. It's my point of view. I don't know what you think. And again, we succeed to trap some particle just above the surface of our electrodes with our new technique. But this time, we have an ion trap quantum processor, which is compliant with a vacuum environment. And tada, we have our first quantum processor. And if you want to see what it looks like, I bring it. So you can see after the talk. So it's cool for me. But when you are a maker, you always wonder if you are on the right road for the design. Last month, I went to London and I visit the Science Museum, and there is this exhibition made with I don't know if you see this, but the main sponsor is the TGHQ. Do you know what TGHQ is? It's like the NSA for UK. So they have made an exhibition about cryptography. And in this exhibition, there is a quantum computer prototype of the TGHQ. This is the vacuum chamber, and this is a wafer. On the wafer, if you zoom in, I see this, and you begin to see some design here. This design, I help you because my iPhone is not so good to take macro photography picture. This design is this one. This is the ion trap used by the quantum computing prototype of TGHQ. This is mine. I think I'm in the right direction. But to make a complete quantum computer is still a long road, because I need to put my ion trap quantum processor inside the vacuum chamber. So I just finished my vacuum chamber last week. So I have no photo to show you for the moment. After that, I need to set up, and this is the really hard part of quantum computing for ion trap. I need to set up a laser or a radio frequency setup to manipulate the quantum states on my quantum register. And I have some estimation. I need more 6 months more to 1 year of work to finish my quantum computer. But as an intermediate conclusion, I hope I have made some demonstration that quantum computing hardware is doable at home. So if you work in cybersecurity, you need perhaps to adapt your risk analysis. But as an old cybersecurity warrior, you always need to adapt your risk analysis to new technology like those. So it's my simple advice for the moment. But we are at hacking the box So we need to find something to break into those quantum computer. This is the fun part, I think. So how to hack into a quantum computer? It's easy. You don't lose your job at all. You need to do the same as we do as hacker every day, every year. We need to hack the weakest list of the hardware, the quantum computer. You must know that quantum computers are surrounded by a bunch of classical and conventional IT systems. Why? Because we need to send wave to pulse to the quantum bits. You have wave generator, you have classical computer, you have some IoT, and you have some industrial system, because we need to use some fancy pump, ion pump controller, or the one I prefer is the turbo molecular pump. I have a turbo molecular pump in my garage. It's cool. And all this stuff are more or less IP addresses, if you want. All these parts, those parts, is the main targeted avenue for hacking, is conventional system. You may think I'm killing. We will see. This is one of my competitors. It's a video from a small company, a little company called IBM. They do their own quantum computer with superconductive qubit. It's another technology. And in this video, the researcher of IBM explain how their own quantum computer works. It's a great video. And what you see here, the quantum processor is at the bottom of this big stuff. At the back, behind the scene, you see a bunch of those conventional systems. If I zoom in, I see a wave generator it's a HITB, I think, a wave generator. There is a sticker. And when I see a sticker or something as an old hacker, I look at it. And this sticker is this. It's not quite easy to see what it is, but I'll help you. This is the VNC password of the wave generator used by IBM. For security reasons, of course, I make some stars to avoid to send the right password, but I think you have an idea of what is the number just behind these two crosses. So remember that a quantum computer could be hacked exactly in the same manner as a normal computer. Yeah. So, as a conclusion of this talk, I would like to share with you a main points. The main points. Quantum computers are doable at home, so you need to adapt your risk analysis. Will be used for good, bad, and ugly. As usual in the cybersecurity field, remember, TGSQ have a prototype, and others have also a prototype. I have my own prototype. But quantum computer are hackable as normal one. But as a cybersecurity community, we need to be prepared to learn them, to use them, and how to program them. So for that, I think we need to make a bunch of new training to be able to understand how this new type of computing architecture works. This is my point of view. And I think, and I'm little okay, this is the end of my talk. I would like to thank you for coming to listen to me about this. If you have any question, I can take question. And as I'm French, I need to have my 2 hours lunch time. So we can continue the discussion at lunchtime if you want.
Thank you, Yann. Hopefully we all learned something. Do we have any questions?
Hi, thank you so much for the talk. Just a quick question on, in one of your slides, you actually mentioned that you would want the processor to run on room temperature. But when the when the ion particles are in a state of superposition and when you're using ion trapping, ion trap, basically, wouldn't temperature be a problem? And your competitors are actually running their processors on sub-zero temperatures. So what is your plan on when you reach to the point where you're able to manipulate the superposition?
This is a good question. This is the main point why I choose ion trap. If you use ion trap, you don't need to have a zero temperature fridge as IBM or other, because before manipulating the states of the ions, we use a specific type of laser to cool down the ions. But we do not need to have a fridge because the laser the light cool down the ion, and so we can work at quantum state environments. So my vacuum chamber work in this room. It could work in your office, on any data center. This is the main benefit of this technology. It works at room temperature. But you're right, to be able to make some quantum gates, we need to cool down the ions, but this cool down technique in the ion trap technology use light. So it works at room temperature.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, we'll move on to the Slido questions then. I believe that is your question? No? Okay, what kind of ions do we target for such quantum activity? What effects does capturing ions of different elements have on computing capability?
So for the first question, what kind of ion? I use calcium ion. It's my choice, because there are specific energy level that is very useful for my goal. But you can use, in fact, any two-state energy level system. So you can use a strontium ion, you can use ibertinium, and a bunch of atoms. There are all benefits and disadvantages to use some type of ion, but you just need an ion with two-level system. So I use, from my point of view, I use for the moment calcium.
Thank you. And the next one is, apart from breaking encryption, what other effective security controls could QC break? How else could it change the current landscape as we know it?
I don't know if quantum computer could break something apart RSA. They could break some other asymmetric protocol. They could lower the efficiency of symmetric K with an algorithm called Grover's. Quantum computer will divide it by 2 the strength of a symmetric K with Grover's algorithm. However, the main part to understand is that quantum technology could break something, but they could have some benefits for cybersecurity. Because if you made a quantum internet, some guys are beginning to make a quantum internet. You can use this quantum communication channel, and in this quantum communication channel, data could be eavesdropped. Someone can eavesdrop the communication, but if someone do that, each part of the communication is aware of that. So I think it's a benefit for cybersecurity to use quantum computer technology. And the main things for me is that my technology is able to do some quantum repeater. Because a quantum repeater is like a router, if you want, on a classical side of on internet. A quantum repeater is a small quantum computer with few qubits. So it's part of my business to doing that also.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, we shall break for lunch. Let's give another round of applause to Yann again.